Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Monday is a big day for the Saints in free agency. Nick Underhill earlier in the day tweeted that Chase Young's visit with the Saints is happening today. He notes the pass rusher had a reschedule last week, but is at the facility today, Monday. So this was scheduled for Friday for some reason, which I have not seen reported yet. That was canceled Friday, or postponed, I should say. And then Chase Young arrived at the Saints facility Monday afternoon and is going on his visit. This feels eerily similar to the Jadeveon Clowney courtship a couple of years ago, if you remember that, where Clowney, of course, a former number 1 overall pick, freakish edge rusher. The Saints courted him as they were in need of pass rushing help, and it looked like they might get a deal done, and it kind of fell apart, and Clowney ended up going the way of Seattle and then Tennessee, as we all know kind of how his path has gone. But anyway, very plainly, should the Saints sign Chase Young? Absolutely. Absolutely, without hesitation. Chase Young is in New Orleans today at the Saints facility. Don't let him leave. That's always the old thing, right? If a player goes on a visit as a free agent, don't let him out the building. Because if they get out the building, that's generally a good sign that they're not going to sign with you. So don't let him leave. Lock the doors. Force a pen in his hand. Get some Marie Laveau voodoo, put a spell on him, don't let him leave. I love the idea of signing Chase Young. He's 24 years old. He's almost 25. The former number 2 overall pick. We remember him at Ohio State. He was a total freak show. Same draft as Joe Burrow. Burrow went 1, Chase Young went 2. But in 4 years, he's only played in 43 games. He had a really solid rookie year. 15 games played, had 7.5 sacks, 10 TFLs. Really good rookie year. And then the injuries hit. And he played sparingly his next 2 seasons. And then last year, he split the year, right? He started the season in Washington. They traded him to San Francisco, where he finished the season. And last year in 2023, he played in 16 games with 7.5 sacks and 7 TFLs. So basically his rookie year and last year were almost mirror images of each other. When he plays, he's a really productive guy. He just battled injuries for the 2 years in between. So if he's healthy, if you sign Chase Young and you get a healthy version of this predator, he's a more productive defensive end than anybody you have. With respect to Cam Jordan, who in my opinion will be a Pro Football Hall of Famer one day, Cam Jordan is at the end of his career. He had 2 sacks a season ago. He is no longer the ferocious presence off the end that he was. That's unfortunate. I think he can still be a very good player, and certainly Cam has been very good against the run in his career. But as far as an elite edge rusher, that's not Cam Jordan anymore. Carl Granderson, his career high, he had a career year this past season. Carl Granderson had 8.5 sacks. But the prior 4 years, a total of 14.5 sacks, which isn't shabby. It's just a guy who's a rotational player who's going to give you 3-4 sacks over the course of a season. But this past year, Granderson gave you 8.5. Tano Passanio his career high is 4 sacks. You got nothing out of Isaiah Foskey a year ago, literally 0 sacks. So if you're looking for an edge rusher to pressure the quarterback and get you sacks, by the way, the Saints a year ago were 28th in the NFL in sacks. They just didn't pressure the quarterback. Now you're going to tell me you have a guy that, when he's been healthy and playing, has given you 7.5 sacks. Yes, I want that guy. Especially if you're going to get him on a 1-year prove-it deal, which is essentially what Chase Young is going to be in the market for. There's only 3 teams that have really shown interest. It's Carolina, Tennessee, and New Orleans. That's a soft market for Chase Young. So he's going to be in a spot where he's going to sign a 1-year incentive-laden prove-it deal, And if he shows he can stay healthy and produce, then someone next year is going to pay him. And maybe that'll be New Orleans. I hope it is New Orleans. It means he has a great year this year and wants to stay and he's really productive. If you're wondering about the money, Saints have the cap space, especially for a one-year prove-it type deal. The Saints currently have $16.6 million in available cap space. I'm looking at Spotrac right now. Paul, if you want to pull this up, you can. It's right now, the estimated cap space is at $16.69 million. So that's the estimated cap space. Now, keep in mind, this does not account for the new contracts, which we don't know exactly all the terms and the specifications of how the free agent deals with the free agents they've agreed to are going to work out. Willie Gay, Stanley Morgan, Nathan Peterman, Cedric Wilson. So we'll see how all those deals, we know some of the terms, but we don't know how they're going to be structured. So we'll see how that goes. And remember, you also have to sign your draft picks. And the projected draft pool for the Saints is $10.5 million for the draft picks that they have, and a cap hit, a top 51 cap hit of just over $5 million. So you got to save money to sign your draft picks as well. You got to save money to sign your draft picks, but they got money. Like they can make it work to sign Chase Young. So money's not an issue. It really comes down to, do you love the player, which given the options that you have, the realistic options you have of signing a defensive end, you're talking about a guy that's the former number 2 overall pick that physically has the ability. He's only 24 years old and has played in just 43 games. So a lot of tread still on the tire for a young player if you can keep him healthy over the course of a season, and you have a motivated Chase Young as well because he's going to be playing in a prove-it year for a big contract. All of those, like, you just get your pen out, you got your box and your checklist, and you're going, Young, yep. Tread on the tire, yep. Motivated, yep. I mean, all those things are there. The only thing I look at and go, well, I don't know, is does Chase Young want to play in New Orleans? Like, that's the big question. Does Chase Young want to play in New Orleans? Or would you rather go to a winning team? Well, look at the teams that have courted him. It's Carolina, the worst team in the league. It's Tennessee, which is going certainly through a transition period in their franchise, and New Orleans. And of the three I just mentioned, the best defensive situation is the Saints. As much as I don't like head coach Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator Dennis Allen deserves our praise. He's been a great defensive coordinator in the NFL. And the Saints last year were near the bottom of the league in sacks. They were 28th in the NFL in sacks. Dead last, by the way, was Carolina. Now, you could argue with Carolina trading Brian Burns to New York, they're desperately in need of a pass rusher, and so maybe there's more of an open door for Chase Young, whereas you do have Cam and Granderson, and you have bodies there right now in New Orleans. But that's the only thing I can think of. It's a great spot for Chase Young. 1 year, prove-it deal, defensive-minded head coach. You have Cam Jordan there, one of the best in the NFL in his era to learn from. This makes too much sense for me. Like, put the padlock on the door at the Saints facility and do not let him leave without signing a contract. Chase Young visiting the Saints today. Hopefully they get that deal done. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.